Welcome to the Wally Report. Listen, baby, we're back again, and this might be the hottest sode ever. Not only has the infamous Christopher Devine rejoined us after his lengthy holiday on the Wally Report's dime, but the new beloved figure, especially by the Jonnos, which we'll get into the new nicknames, John Granofsky, has also returned. Now you get 3 just Fellacinos for the price of 6, okay? Today is our special end-of-year show, where we'll be counting down the top 10 best shows of 2024, along with top show list of December, okay? And of course, our hot topics and exciting industry news that we always give you. So get ready to black out, baby, because we're coming in hard. Christopher, let's start with you. How pumped are you to be rejoining the show once again?
Well, Ari, it's a delight to be back. I've spoken before at length about the Wally Report's tremendous benefits, and one of those benefits is this extended paid time off. You know, you speak very passionately about the 4-day work week, and what I have said to our listeners at the Wally Report, we have a 2-day work month. I've taken advantage of the paid time off, but something I recently discovered is in the Wally Report employee handbook is the early retirement package, and so that's actually for the folks who have wondered where I've gone. That's where I've been. I've been taking advantage of early retirement, and so I'm pleased to be back, essentially as a sort of professor emeritus of the Wally Report. And so thank you for having me back. And I'm, as always, I'm delighted to be here, and especially excited to be here with John, who didn't believe that I was real. So here I am, and it's delightful to meet you, John, and face to face. I've listened to you with great interest over the last few months.
And so, John, let's discuss your feelings also on joining the Report Dream Team.
Oh, it's amazing to be here. I love that Christopher has taken the early retirement package. You know, you want to retire at the top of your game. I think that's really what you're 100%. Doing. No, it's great to be back. It's great to be a part of this kind of episode to cap the year. I would say Happy New Year, but I ascribe to the Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm statute of limitations on saying Happy New Year. That's January 3rd, so I'm not going to say it, but it's great to be here in 2025.
Yeah, because we're January 5th, but it's perfect for the end of year show, and you're right. And it's funny that you bring up Curb, because that might get mentioned today, because I was just binging episodes last night. You know, it was tough picking the top 10. You have to weed things out, and, you know, I was just watching some Curb last night. I like that you brought that up. So ceremonially, we go always to our hot topics. Okay. And normally I do something about the weather, the time, you know, the 4-day work week. But today I just think we need to talk about the recent success of the Wally Report and just be pumped on it. So the new Wally Report announcement news, I think, is my hot topic. So let me get into it for the listeners here, okay? We just put an announcement on our Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So for the avid listener, you guys have should have all heard this. For the folks that haven't, and I even wrote a little, because this is so impressive, I even wrote a little bit of a script here, just so I sound so unbelievable, okay? I put in an announcement a few weeks ago. So to make sure all listeners check it out. But to recap now, we have big things coming in 2025, okay? Not only will you get your top 5 TV show monthly countdown shows, okay? So that will continue. Exciting celebrity guest interviews, which we all know. We just had Morgan J on, who's a comedian superstar. If you haven't listened to that show, check it out, okay? Then we're adding true crime special episodes this year, where I'm going to go through shows like The Jinx, Lacey Peterson, which they both might come up today, And with a new co-host who you'll be introduced to soon, we're going to sort of be like, it's going to be a true crime podcast meets entertainment. It's a new hybrid show that we've been working on. Okay. Then I'm also going to start special sport edition episodes. Okay. Where it'll be at like Wally Report Sports. I haven't come up with the official name on it yet. And that most likely will be all about MMA at first, which I know you guys are both huge UFC Barneys. Okay. But eventually, with the success of that, it might branch out to other sports. So it'll be 4 different Wally Report type shows, right? So, and if we start popping off and listeners go crazy, I might even start counting down the all-time top 75 show list, where it's like each episode would be 10 of our all-time shows and major, critical review based on that, right? So as you can see, we're really diversifying the TWR portfolio, baby. We're already shortening it now, especially because Christopher's logo is the hottest in the world. And we all know that, which we can, that's another one of my hot topics is Christopher's logo. Okay, another part to this, we've partnered with a new podcast agency called GPT. And the boys at GPT are taking us to the next level, baby. Okay, that's why I look so good today. For people wondering why I have this clean 4K look. We've also been collaborating with these guys at Crawl Space Media and The Missing. They're leaders in the true crime podcast space. I actually was just interviewed on their show to pump up our show, and they're already posting Wally Report episodes on their Crawl Space mixed feed. So more of the true crime listeners are now turned on to our more entertainment-focused shows, okay? So as you can imagine, I couldn't be more excited. The future is extremely bright at the Report. I want to sit here and thank all the original OG fans like John, yourself, who was listening from day one, right? Because without you guys and the support we got in the beginning, we wouldn't be here. So when we're all sitting on our yachts, eating shrimp cocktail and sipping daiquiris, we're all going to remember this point in time. So I just wanted to say that. That's my hot topic. I'm jacked up for the future. And I think 2025 is going to be a serious year at the Report. So, gentlemen, thoughts on any of that before we go to your topics? Are you guys jacked up too?
Oh, 100%, Ari. I think, without sort of jumping the gun here and talking about predictions for 2025, I do really believe that when all is said and done, and we look back and we're reading the history books, the year 2025 will be known as the year of the Report. And I mean, what more could you ask for? As I've maintained from day one, we're doing a tremendous public service. The most valuable commodity is time, and we are helping people decide how to spend their time. We are now in a position to amplify that and to reach new audiences, and we are able to extend our public service worldwide. And
big time worldwide.
So really, what I have to say is, look out, Bill Gates. The Gates Foundation does great work, but so does the Wally Report.
So yes. So, okay. What about hot topics? Do you want to stay in the order so we could go Christopher first? Cause that was the order we established earlier.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
is your hot topic that you're bringing to the table in this final yearly episode?
Well, so I was thinking back to previous hot topics. You may remember I had one hot topic about the Village cigars.
Yes.
Greenwich Village, gone out of business. Still, future still uncertain. Still no tenant for Village Cigars. The signs are deteriorating, but they're still there. Okay. Not certain what's going to happen. But you may remember another one of my hot topics was the reunion of a band that lots of people knew and loved from the 1990s. And that band was Oasis. And they are going on their reunion tour in 2025. I saw them in concert when I was in 8th grade. The other band that I saw in concert when I was in 8th grade was the Smashing Pumpkins. Now, were either of you ever Smashing Pumpkins, Shames?
Yeah,
I
I
still
was a
listen to Smashing
Pumpkins guy.
Absolutely.
I was a Pumpkins guy, but they never were a Nirvana Pearl Jam level for me. They were always like a B grade grunge, but they were clean. I mean, yeah, 1979 is one of the greatest songs ever. But overall, the catalog, you can't put them up into that stratosphere. But they're clean. They're clean.
Clean, yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. I don't think that they're. I'm not a huge Nirvana fan, but I don't think that they're Pearl Jam level. But I think that
Right.
they're, Smashing Pumpkins.
They're just.
They're just. On New Year's Eve, my wife and I were out to dinner in Chicago, and we were sitting at this table that they screwed up the seating and the reservation. So they put us at a table designed for 6 people. It was this giant booth that sort of like looked out over the entire restaurant. It was great. It was lovely. It was a mistake that worked in our favor, which rarely happens to me. And who walks in but Billy Corgan? Okay.
Amazing.
His wife and his 2 kids. And he had just come. So, of course, I immediately go to Instagram and I see he had just come from Wrigley Field, where he played the song Tonight, Tonight during the starting lineup of the NHL game it was the Blackhawks against who knows? I don't pay attention to hockey, but they were playing outside at Wrigley Field. And so Billy Corgan had performed at Wrigley Field. He also did the 7th inning stretch, which doesn't make any sense because hockey does not have innings. I know at least that much about hockey to know that there are not innings.
Yes.
I think they call them periods.
Yes, 3 periods. Clean guy.
Okay.
Clean guy. Yes.
See, in my world, that would be if there's something's divided by 3, it would be trimester. And so, in any case, I look him up on, and he's wearing, because I wasn't certain whether it was him, but he's wearing the same jacket. Okay. He's got this big fur jacket on, and he's got this hat, which he takes off. So I have rediscovered my love for the Smashing Pumpkins. I just last night, as I was falling asleep, I just bought a Smashing Pumpkins t-shirt. I've been listening to Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, I've become, it is reawakened.
You're plowing pumpkins.
I'm plowing pumpkins. It's reawakened in the sort of inner child in me. Now, I have to say, I haven't listened to any of their new stuff. I've really been focused on Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, which, I mean, is a really brilliant album. And the artistic direction for the album, if you remember those music videos, like it was really a stroke of genius. I think that was part of the problem with the Smashing Pumpkins is they were never able to follow that up. It's like when F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote The Great Gatsby. I mean, what do you do after that, right? I know you, because Ari, you and I have talked about this before. You've never really been a Tender as the Night fan, right? That was his follow-up to The Great Gatsby. And you've thought, as far as Fitzgerald goes, you've always maintained that Tender as the Night is shame compared to The Great Gatsby. And it's sort of the same with this with the Smashing Pumpkins. When you have a masterpiece, what do you do next? But anyway, I'm excited. It's a great way to kick off 2025 with like revisiting the days of the late 90s when I was a really popping off on the Pumpkins.
I like that because we're bringing music back into it. You know, John's a big music Barney too. He used to be a drummer, so he'd probably like. John, are you a Pumpkins guy, or did you think my assessment was just? Are you a big Pumpkins?
I'm a big Pumpkins. Pumpkins over Pearl Jam for me in terms of just bands that I like. I also haven't listened to any recent Pumpkins, but grew up listening to them. I'm curious, Christopher, did Billy Corgan order his food in the Smashing Pumpkins singing voice? Like, we'll have the spinach and artichoke dip. I don't know if you were close enough to overhear.
More interesting than that, John, he didn't order food. His family ate, and he just sat there drinking a cup of either tea, I think it was tea, or hot water. And that's it. Huh. He didn't have anything. And he was on his phone the entire time. His kids were trying to get his attention, and he was just buried deep into his phone. So, yeah. But okay, so you are a drummer. Who is your favorite drummer of all time?
I mean, I could go with, what a lot of people consider to be the greatest drummers of all time, like Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa. Personal favorites. My uncle was an extremely good drummer. My late uncle used to teach drum lessons. He had Buddy Rich come in and do clinics for his students. He owned Fife and Drum Corps, marching drum corps. They used to march on like the Macy's Day Parade and the Orange Bowl Parade and stuff like that. So he was definitely like the one that kind of got me into drumming. I don't know, man. There's so many. I got to see last year. Went and saw Tool, and Danny Carey is definitely up there. It's the second time I've seen them, and he's just a beast. But I don't know, man. I listen to a lot of different types of music, and there's just so many great, jazz drummers. Tony Williams, Art Blakey. There's so many different drummers. It's hard for me to name like a single drummer or two drummers that would be like my favorites.
So I'll just say quickly before, because I don't want to tread on your time.
Yeah, we need to get to John's hot topic here.
Yeah, but we also need to talk more about music, Ari. I mean, this is like, it just has to happen. And the Wally Report is overarching entertainment. And you outlined the plan for 2025, and I didn't hear a single thing about music in there. So I've just got to squeeze it in. Into the margins.
Now there'll be music sods. There'll be music sods, yeah.
Okay, so my son, who turns 3 later this month, if you ask him, Oscar, who is your favorite drummer? You know what he says? Elvin Jones.
How old is your son?
He's not even 3 yet.
That's amazing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
amazing. And you know who his second favorite drummer is? Philly Joe Jones.
All right. So you're bringing him up. You're bringing him up right. You're bringing him up as a good father.
Exactly.
Teaching him the classics.
Yeah, absolutely. You know who else? Another drummer he loves is Jim Hodder, who was the original drummer of Steely Dan.
Dude, and Steely Dan for me is like, I feel like you either love Steely Dan or you can't stand them. And I
Christmas
love
morning,
Steely Dan.
Christmas morning, I said to my son, again, not even 3, I said, hey, what music do you want to listen to? He said, I want to listen to Countdown to Ecstasy. That's Steely Dan's second album. I said, that's not really a Christmas album. He said, I want to hear Showbiz Kids. That's the world I'm living in. And that's why I asked you your favorite drummer. All right, I'm going to turn it over.
I used to for a practice regiment for a while, I used to just play gaucho from start to finish and just try to play along with it.
That's amazing.
Again, the Steely Dan musicianship, impeccable. Crazy stories about those guys in terms of the demanding studio sessions that they had. To me, Steve Gadd, Asia is the single all-time greatest recorded drum solo in my estimation. That music is fucking perfect. Anyways, sorry.
Okay,
right, we have to do John. You need to let John and I do a music episode.
Okay, yeah, okay, we'll add music episodes to the Wally Report explosion list. Okay, John, hot topic because we got a lot to get through here today.
Hot topic. I'm gonna try to move through this quickly.
God, here we go.
Christopher, I appreciate you mentioning Billy Corgan being on his phone because actually it relates a little bit to my hot topic. It is the new year. I wanted to share with you guys my New Year's resolutions. I've heard that if you share your New Year's resolutions publicly, you're more likely to maintain them because you've made a public commitment. You want to be seen as a consistent person. So my New Year's resolution for 2025 is to drink more and to watch more TV. It's not going to be easy, but I would appreciate you guys keeping me accountable. Let me explain. So when I say drink more, that may be overstating it a little bit. My resolution is not necessarily to drink more. It's certainly not to drink less, but it's to drink with more intention. And I'll tell you a quick story. On Friday was an awful day at work. I thought New Year's week, it's going to be easy. Putting out fire drills for CES, which is next week, big consumer electronics show. Week long in Vegas. If you work in consumer electronics, it's a week from hell. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, we know that.
Ari knows very well. Ari and I have had some late nights at that conference. So trying to get ready for that. Ended the work day. Poured myself a cup of bourbon. I enjoy a bourbon from time to time. Had a few more. Woke up yesterday morning, not feeling super great, and I realized, and it wasn't amazing bourbon, but it was decent. I hadn't even enjoyed it. I had been drinking just as a passive activity, not really even paying attention to what I was doing. I was grouchy. I was in a bad mood. And I think if you're going to make the decision to drink, and listen, I enjoy a stiff drink, a frosty beverage, a crispy boy, if you will. a glass of wine here and there. It can make life a little more fun, makes food taste better, makes company a little more enjoyable. It can lead to some sick dance moves, as I actually may have a few videos on my phone of Ari, which can attest to that fact. But if you're not being present with it, and I think for people that do drink, it's so easy to do it kind of on autopilot where you're not even really paying attention, and it's just something you're not doing mindfully or being present. And instead of like really tasting the bourbon and enjoying it and sipping it slowly, you're just, again, kind of on autopilot. And I want to do that less. If you're going to make the choice to drink, which, look, by all accounts, drinking is horrible for you. It's horrible for your body. It's horrible for your brain. It rots your liver. It's not a good thing. If you're going to do it, at least be present for it, right? At least be there and get the enjoyment out of it you're supposed to. I think, and look, there's nothing wrong with having a beer or two while you're watching a football game, but sometimes, you'll be sitting there watching TV and you've had 3 or 4 beers and you haven't even noticed. It's like, what am I doing? You're just drinking passively. I want to stop doing that. If I'm going to make the decision to do this absolutely destructive activity, I'm going to try to get every ounce of enjoyment out of it as I can. That leads me to watching more TV. It's not necessarily that I want to watch more TV. It's that I want to watch more TV. I don't know if you guys can identify with this, but I often find myself, I'm watching maybe a sporting event or a television show, start doom scrolling Instagram, and all of a sudden 30 minutes have gone by. I've seen nothing of value on my phone. I feel objectively worse than I did when I started looking at my phone, and I've just missed 30 minutes of whatever I was watching. If you're going to, and Christopher, you made the point, like, time is our most valuable resource. If you're going to devote the most valuable resource that any of us have on this planet to sitting in front of a screen, fucking be there. I tell you guys, I'm going to start leaving my phone in another room when I watch TV. If I make the decision to sit down and watch a show, that's what I'm going to do. If I decide I want to scroll Instagram, fine, scroll Instagram, do just that, and then put that shit away. So I guess to summarize, it's more that I want to be present more in whatever I'm doing, be mindful and really be in the moment more in 2025 and kind of remove more of the distractions for whatever I'm doing. And I just feel like it particularly applies to things like drinking or watching TV, which are absolutely degenerate, unproductive activities. And if you're going to engage in them, you might as well get the maximum enjoyment out of them by being fully present. So that's my hot topic for today. That's my New Year's resolution. Let's go 2025. So, and Ari, I also wanted to say your passion for the Wally Report. I would say you have Billy Mumphrey's unbridled enthusiasm. I'm extremely impressed with your work ethic. 2025 is going to be a big year. So let's go.
Very clean. And just a couple comments on that about the show watching. I'm glad that you say that because there's nothing more shameful than putting on a hot sode and then looking at your phone. And so you should be already doing that since you're a world-class report member. You know what I mean? Now, if it's just a game or something, fine. But if it's a hot sode, you got to be dialed in, baby. You can't be also scrolling. Okay. So let's move on to industry news. We got a couple hot things here. Okay. The first one, Christopher, you're going to like because this goes into all our original discussions about analyzing the different streaming services. I don't have the streaming results, which I wanted to get, but I'll have a little comment of I actually need you as our marketing lead to call up Variety and complain, but I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, I need an angry Variety marketing meeting. Now, this I just thought was helpful for all the listeners and for you guys. Here is the latest update on all of our top streaming services and the amount of subscribers that they currently have globally. Netflix leading the world at 282 million subscribers. Amazon Prime, and there's a little asterisk to this, Amazon Prime is in the number 2 slot at 230 million, even though this is a little unfair because basically anybody who had an Amazon Prime account also has Amazon Prime Video, right? So it's sort of like they didn't have to do what Netflix did and slowly gain these users like overnight. If you have fucking Prime, you're going to get the video. But still impressive. Disney Plus in the 3rd slot, which I was kind of surprised by, at 158 million. HBO Max, 4th at 99. I thought they'd maybe be a little higher there. Paramount Plus out of the blue, 72 million. Peacock 32, and I was a little shocked by this. Apple TV Plus only at 25. I thought they'd be a little higher. And then ESPN Plus only at 25 million subscribers. I did that because sometimes I watch sport docs on there that get on my top 5. But I just thought that was interesting data to bring to you guys as we're talking about our top shows. Now, and every year let's look at that and see how that changes, because that could also, the people that have a lot of subscribers also probably have the money to pump out more content anyway. Something to look at. Now, the thing that I wanted to complain about, Christopher, is earlier in the year, Variety, who I follow on the gram, because of this Wally Report, I'm now stuck following people on the gram day and night. I'm because now I have to be a social Barney. Okay. They used to post these weekly stream results that I've been saving screenshots before of like the most streamed shows by week, and I loved it because I'd be like, oh, interesting. Can I package my top 5s with these streaming results? But recently, over the past couple of months, they haven't been posting them, and that's why, Christopher, I need you to have an angry sit down with the head of marketing at Variety and say, where are our posts, baby? Because so you can still go onto their website and I think you can search it, but I really like that because I think in 2025 we should start also looking at our top 5 shows also getting the streaming results. And it's not always going to be the case because you're going to remember half the country loves crap television, so we're always going to get blasted by lowbrow Barneys. Okay, so moving on, and then I'll get your guys' feelings on this. Big other industry news here is Stranger Things season 5 is about to blast in 2025. I don't have a date yet. I'll come back to that. But the reason why, yes, it's amazing news. I don't know. I'll get your guys' take if you're Things. I don't think Christopher's a Things guy, but I have a feeling John is a Things guy. Okay. But the big news for me is this. They just came out and said, one of the actors on the show, there's going to be 8 episodes for the final season, and all of them are going to almost be movie length, to where the finale is 2 hours, but all the other ones are like an hour and a half, which I'm jumping for joy because I love longer content. Short episodes are for Barneys. Don't give me short content. And it's almost what they're kind of doing is like they're basically making 8 movies and making it a final fucking season. So I almost fell out of my chair when I read this. I'm popping off on it. John, you're a short-sewed Barney, so are you against this? Didn't you say that before, calling you out? Didn't you say you're a short-sewed? Yeah.
They're more digestible for me at this season of my life. It's nice to be able to sit down and watch a full episode in one sitting. But no, I agree with you. And I think this is something you talked about maybe on one of the early Wally Report episodes, is that TV now, with the medium that we watch, we binge watch, or these streaming services come out with whole seasons, it's nice to be able to do the type of character development that you can't do in a feature-length movie. To your point, like right. Every episode of the new season is basically movie length. You just get to know the characters in a much more nuanced way than you ever could in, an hour and 45, 2 hour, feature-length
right.
movie. So I'm, for something like Stranger Things, sure, 100% in support of the longer episode format.
Got it. You're not a Things guy, Christopher, right? This is too silly and low. And you ever watch any Stranger Things? Not to Barney you on the spot.
I've never seen even 2 minutes of Stranger Things. I've seen people dressed up as characters from Stranger Things for Halloween, and there's something about like an Eggo waffle box. That's the only thing I know. But so wait, hang on. But I am a fan of long episodes.
Oh yes, okay, clean.
Big fan of long episodes. Now, John, do you have kids?
I have 2 6-month-old twin boys.
Okay, all right. So you're going to discover in the not too distant future Bluey. Okay,
I'm familiar with
Bluey. Bluey is
I got nephews.
You'll be able to access Bluey on Disney Plus, by the way. And Disney Plus will become in your life your most valuable. Like, it's going to become the thing that you can't live without, right? If you find yourself destitute and unable to afford any other streaming service, Disney Plus will remain. Okay. Bluey has 7-minute episodes. The problem with the 7-minute episodes is you're back at the remote control every 7 minutes, and then maybe
drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's and then what is funny is Bluey. There's also short episodes. I'm like, how could there be short episodes? That 7 minutes is already short. They have 3-minute episodes too. Bluey shorts. I want long form content. I want long form content for me, and I want long form content for my son.
Okay, clean. Now, this next one, Christopher is going to be popping off about, and I'm sure you're counting down the days, because if you remember from one of our early episodes and multiple episodes, we've talked about Severance, okay? And we're finally 12 days away from the launch of season 2, baby. Do you have it marked on the calendar, Christopher? January 17th. And I'm just, we've been waiting a long time. I'm very excited about this. I'll just let Christopher, what's your latest on this? Had you been following that date, or was that extra special news right now that I blessed you with, or do you count down the days on a calendar?
You know that I'm deeply resentful of the fact that we've had to wait this long. I have seen Apple TV maybe last week, release the first 6 minutes of the first episode of season 2, which I plowed immediately. I mean, it was just but half of the first 6 minutes was the introductory sequence, like the title sequence. I mean, it's really, it was a questionable maneuver. Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled, but I'm still annoyed.
You're a disgruntled fellow at this point.
I'm annoyed that they're doing it 1 episode a week. I'm annoyed that we're only getting 10 episodes, and I'm annoyed that they're 37 minutes long. That's not long enough, and that's not enough episodes. They've kept us waiting for so long.
And
the title sequence is so long.
Wait, hold on. Are the Severance episodes that short? I thought they were the full drama hour-long sods. I thought only the Bear is the weird short ones. Unless I'm crazy.
I don't remember, but they're not. Yeah, but even if it's a full hour, it's only like 42 minutes, right? Because they're doing an hour minus commercials, even though there are no commercials. I mean, it's
right. Yeah.
Look, Severance is a brilliant show. Okay. And Apple TV at every step of the way. I think Severance is, as we have established on this show, as I had been saying to you for months prior to you watching Severance, which, by the way, I'm envious of your position because you haven't had to wait that long because you came to Severance very late. And so, it's an enviable position to be in. I wish that I hadn't had to wait as long as I have. In any case, I think Severance is a brilliant show. I love it. It's my favorite show right now on TV. I think Apple TV has screwed up every step of the way. The best thing that could happen for Severance is it moving to a different streaming service.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm pumped on it. It's finally almost here. We've been waiting a whole fucking year for this since I finally begrudgingly got into it. And then you, of course, got me over the hump here. You convinced me. And then what an ending that was. So anyway, I wanted to bring it up to the listeners. Okay, a couple more things, and then we'll start moving on to the countdowns. I want to fix something that I said on the show last time. And in my defense, the news hadn't come out yet. But just in case people are listening to the old episodes and are wondering what the hell was Wally talking about, the American Psycho news at the time. So they're redoing American Psycho, which we all know was the book first. Okay, then was a hit movie with Christian Bale, but to me it was always a little, if you're a Psycho book purist, the movie was a little underwhelming. They made it a little jokey. Christian Bale's performance was great, but I never really loved it. I was a little bit disappointed. Most book purists will say that. They're redoing it, and I had made a comment that Jacob Elordi was rumored to play Patrick Bateman. He's the guy from Saltburn and from Euphoria that all the young Gen Z Barneys are watching. I can't get through it. However, it's actually Austin Butler who has been cast as the new Patrick Bateman. You guys don't know who that is. He's the guy who played Elvis in that movie, which I actually didn't like. And he's also in that Bike Riders movie. He's blowing up all over the place, and I think he's perfect. So I'm actually more jacked up by Austin Butler. I'm super excited about this. They better redo it in a just fashion. You weren't here for this last time, Christopher. Are you an American Psycho Barney at all, or is that not literature that is your cup of tea? Were you
I've
ever an
never,
American Psycho book Barney is the
I've
question.
never read the book. I've seen the movie. I've never read the book.
Okay.
And so I don't have, the movie in isolation without sort of, the book anchoring it is a fantastic movie.
I read it when I was like a young juvenile fellow, so I don't know if I probably would. I mean, when you're early 20s, you're like, oh my God, that was all about partying and just all this crazy stuff, that goes on in the book. But so I can't tell you now, 20 years later, if it's still like a masterpiece. But then I used to think it was like my top book, but it's definitely not.
When did the movie come out?
I believe it was 2001. Because I just rewatched it to make sure, and I was underwhelmed again. There's some great parts, but it wasn't like jaw-dropping. But anyway, I'm super pumped on this. Okay, now, next bit of news here. And this we're going to start using. I love this new phrase. So remember I mentioned my guys at The Watch, the other show, The Watch, that I took my inspiration from. Love that show. You guys should check it out. The hosts are Andy Greenwald and Chris Ryan. Very sophisticated, very intelligent, and they know the business so well. But what I loved when I was listening to their top 10 was if they did not finish an episode, they call it, well, that was a DNF. And I loved it right away because I have a lot of DNFs, baby. So as we're now talking about the shows coming up, I'm just going to refer to stuff. Oh, I got 3 episodes in, and then that was a DNF. So I want to say I'll be giving this, I'm not stealing it from The Watch. I'm giving them complete credit, but I love the whole DNF thing. Okay. Now, I recommend all the listeners to also listen to their yearly top 10, and you guys too. The one little joke here I have down here, Christopher, is I'm a little worried that you're going to love their taste and their sophistication so much that you might thinking about jumping ship and joining The Watch and shaming the report, because these guys are very well spoken, very well read. And I just saw, I'm almost a little worried about letting you listen because you might try to shame the report, is my one comment here.
Well, I think it would have been a legitimate concern about, 10 years ago when I prioritized that sort of thing. But I'm older now. And to me, the most important thing is work-life balance and the ability to retire early. And so unless they have the benefits the Wally Report has, I mean, they probably don't even have an employee handbook. Think about how long you worked on your employee handbook for, right? Outlining in crystal clear detail all of these amazing benefits that the Wally Report offers. So there's just no way. I mean, I can't imagine a universe in which another podcast has the sort of benefits that the Wally Report does. And as a result, irrespective of the level of erudition of the folks on the podcast, who cares?
Yeah,
right?
all right.
I'm
it was more of a joke, but I will say, if you guys do have time, throw it on, because my dream is actually one day to get on The Watch as a guest and go toe to toe with them with their list versus my lists. Because I do agree with some things, I sometimes disagree with other things. We both agreed last year that the Bears season was the #1 show on television, and so there is some agreements. I will say that Andy Greenwald, who I especially like, his take on Presumed Innocent was spot on with Wally's, where the first 2 episodes were jaw-dropping. You thought, oh my God, this is going to be the show of the year, and then it fully falls off. So sometimes we're in sync. Okay, last little bit, and then we're going to start doing some serious countdowns, because I know people are rioting in the streets for this shit. Shows that we're most looking forward in 2025, really quickly. Severance Season 2, January 17th. White Lotus Season 3, February 13th. Christopher, you're not a Lotus guy. This is another one you have to put on the list. John, I think you've watched Lotus, right?
Yes.
You caught up both seasons?
Yes.
This is a hot show, Christopher, especially Season 1. Okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 3, baby! Also, February 13th. I know Christopher's not happy with this. He thinks it's shame that I'm putting this on the list. But listen, it's my guilty pleasure. It's supposed to be cheesy. It's supposed to be shame, and then therefore it's acceptable. I feel like I'm back. It's 1987. I just got a Pepsi, some Doritos. We got the Nintendo. Boom, you clamp Kai. You see what I mean? And I miss those times. Last of Us Season 2, spring of 2025. I know I told you that. Oh, yeah, this is right. Yeah, Christopher, you had said before there's no way you're going to blast a zombie show unless Rashida Jones is in it. And sadly, she is not. But this is the best zombie show ever made. So, John, have you ever watched The Last of Us?
I haven't. It's on my list though, because I played the PlayStation 4. I played through the game, and that's what it's based on. So I need to.
Oh, it is. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
my research is shame. I'm a shame
guy.
Based
on the PlayStation. There's Last of Us 2, I believe, as well. I have not played that.
Wow.
But yeah, the original Last of Us game was like it won all kinds of awards for like best PlayStation game. That's what the show's based on.
Okay, well, see, now we just learned something new. Okay, last couple. The Bear Season 4, June of 2025. Now, listen, we're going to talk about this. The Bear Season 3 was a bit of a letdown. It wasn't a great season, but it sets up nicely for the next season to still be great. So even the guys at The Watch and myself both have high hopes for what still could come. And then the last thing I'll say is Beef Season 2, which is going to be late in 2025 or maybe even early 2026. There's a lot more, but these are the ones that I am particularly excited for. Okay, we're ready. So what we got to do is, because I can't gyp the Wally Report listeners, I got to give them the quick top 5 of December, but we're going to do it rapid fire because more people want the top 10 of the year. But I felt there's too many listeners relying on us for the hot shows of the month. So if we skip the whole month, it would be shame. Okay, and I have people already saying, where's my top 5? I didn't have shows to watch during Christmas, so we already shamed some people by having this late of a show. Okay, number 5. This was the same spot last month when I was with you, John. The Agency on Showtime, streaming via Paramount Plus. It's still underwhelming. 69 tomato meter, 76 popcorn meter, so the fans like it a little bit more than the critics. I'm siding with the critics here at 68% on the Wally Report. It's a semi-decent CIA thriller. The best part of it is the cast. Michael Fassbender, Jeffrey Wright, Richard Gere are all fantastic. But the writing, the direction, it's shot well, but you're not like gripped by it. You're not dying for the next sode. You're not very compelled. It's not very intriguing. It's just sort of there. But if you're not as critical as me and you love the CIA thriller shit and you're willing to muck around, it's a decent watch. Okay. Tone is good. It's shot well. The acting, I just watched an episode last night to make sure it was my number 5 show. And I will say Michael Fassbender he's saving the show somewhat, but I'm not over the moon about it. Okay, let's just quickly get to the number 4 show. Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus. It's the new Star Wars. I watch all Star Wars shows, baby. Okay. It's not amazing. 91% of the tomato meter, so the critics love it. 80% of the popcorn meter, so the fans like it. I'm giving it a 74. It's not classified hot. It does have Jude Law in it, and he's sort of with this group of kids. It's basically, you feel like a Stranger Things meets Goonies meets Star Wars. So it's not, I wouldn't say the adults of the world. It's not a dramatic masterpiece by any means, but are any of the new Star Wars shows dramatic masterpieces besides maybe a couple Mandalorian episodes? So I still felt like this is a good time. It's definitely better for, I think, the younger audience. Kids really like this, but I watch anything Wars. Would either of you pricks consider Skeleton Crew, or is this an instant out?
I still haven't seen The Mandalorian, so I gotta start there.
Yes.
But I will say though, in terms of brilliant Star Wars shows that came after the fact, Rogue One is genius. So there have been,
all right.
Yeah, there have been a few. Yeah, I'd watch it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, it's a decent watch. It's sort of fun. John, it's so funny now. Christopher has your back on not watching Mandalorian. You guys are both farming together.
You've thoroughly shamed me on previous episodes about my lack of clamping the Star Wars series, post prequels, originals, and sequels. So I'll leave it there. Yes, I'll watch it eventually, but
okay,
it's probably not going to be anytime soon.
Number 3, we're going to go quickly here because we got to get to the top 10. Aaron Rodgers, Enigma doc. It's out on Netflix. I was apprehensive to watch it for a little bit because I wasn't sure if I don't like docs that only go like present day stuff. I need the full story of the athlete. So it took me a little bit, but and here's the funny thing. The tomato meter is only giving it a lowly 50%. And there's no popcorn meter yet because not enough people have gone on and given their ratings. I'm going against the tomatoes here. I actually loved it. It was a great time. It's 3-part series all about the surgery that he had from the injury, right? Also the all his life before. It could have been a 5-part doc series. It goes way too much in the ayahuasca stuff. I don't know if you guys know about Aaron Rodgers and his alternative views and stuff like this, but he goes deep on the ayahuasca. I'm like, all right, enough here, guys. I started feeling like I was tripping again. 75% on the Wally Report. It is classified hot. It was a very well-made doc. I liked it. I don't love Rodgers, but I don't hate him like these other people. I'm a non-political Barney in the middle. I accept people for different views. I usually judge people on their playing on the field, not off the field. I'm a Rodgers guy. I liked it. It was clean. Okay, let's keep rolling. Day of the Jackal. We talked about this last month, John. Day of the Jackal on Peacock. 84% on the tomato meter. 77 on the popcorn meter. A 78% on the Wally Report score, which I don't really give high 70s barely, let alone 80s. Eddie Redmayne from Fantastic Beasts. Lashana Lynch is decent. She's the cop that's after him. He plays a hitman. Also, for the Thrones call out, Charles Dance, who is known for the Tywin Lannister role. He's fabulous in it. It is based on a book from 1971. Then it became a 70s film. Then we all know the Jackal Bruce Willis movie from 1997. And then this is the newest version of it. See, I didn't have this intel last month, John. Came in a little, now I'm back on it. It's the number 2 show of the month. My brother just finished it. They're losing it. I like it. It's not perfect. Some of the writing's a little off, the storylines, the casting. It's not an 85% show. We're not talking, high level Breaking Bad shit, but it's an amazing edge of your seat Hitman. I don't know if you guys are Hitman guys, and the ending I actually fucking liked. It was almost where I've had so many bad endings now that I'm shocked when something's great. Okay, it's been renewed. I'm very excited. Does this intrigue either of you Fellacinos?
No.
Yeah, this is not up a player's alley. Yeah, you don't care about the Hitman stuff. You're not a Hitman fellow.
I'm not a Hitman guy. I'm sorry.
Right. Yes. John, can I get you on the Jackal or no?
Yeah, I would check it out. Again, another video game reference. Hitman Agent 47. I played through a number of those games in my youth.
Okay. So you're a Hitman guy. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you were, I don't think you were referring to a video game, but yeah, no. I would check it out.
Okay. Number 1 show of December, and then we'll move on to the top 10 of the year. And these shows might come back. Black Doves on Netflix, number 1 show of the year. 94% on the tomato meter. Only 62 on the popcorn. So the critics like it, the audience doesn't. I'm giving it a whopping 79 on the Wally Report. Classified hot, baby. Starring Keira Knightley, Ben Winshaw, who steals the show, and Sarah Lancashire from Happy Valley. Now, this is the most content I've been all year with the show from start to finish. It's like another spy thriller, okay, but there is some comedic moments. Their partnership, Keira Knightley and Ben Winshaw, is legendary. It's very well acted. It's very well shot. You're on the edge of your seat. It's not perfect again. There's a couple storylines I don't love. We're not in the 80s here, but for the shows of this year, right, with the rest of the shows not really being up to snuff. But that's why I'm excited for 2025, because I think we're going to have a bigger year. 2024 has been sort of underwhelming, as we keep talking about each month. But I'm very excited about next season. It just was renewed. Now, what you're probably thinking right now, John, because remember how we talked about this, about who's going to be the champion streaming service of the year? Did you notice how many times I just said Netflix and how little I said HBO? Christopher's not going to like this. Okay. Here's one last comment, and then we'll talk about the yearly countdown. I really hope that Dexter Original Sin was going to be on my list, but I got to say, boys, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but it was not great. And I think what's happened is that since Paramount is packaged with Showtime. The Showtime shows are not HBO quality. They're sort of almost being produced by these Paramount guys that are like all about, John's Taylor Sheridan shame. No, I like Sheridan. He just known a little bit, Christopher, for more nighttime soap, Middle America, screwing, shooting, Yellowstone, and Landman, all this stuff. You're like, it's like Tulsa King. I like some of it, but it's like so. Anyway, I think what happened is Dexter has been reimagined not correctly. I'm sad, so was not on my top 5. But there still is a new Dexter later in the summer. So now Netflix wins the year at 9 top 5 shows. It was a dismal count early in the year, and now it gets 9 on Netflix, 7 on HBO Max, 5 on Apple TV Plus, strong showing for having lower subscribers, 2 on Hulu, 2 on Prime Video, 2 on Disney Plus, 1 on Showtime. Where have they fallen? They used to be almost on the HBO level for many years, and then 1 on Peacock because of Day of the Jackal. And so going back to cousin Luke's question, what streaming service should I get? Sadly, so let's talk about this really quickly, Christopher. Netflix has a lot of sleaze on it, but because of the sheer volume and how much they pump out, they might still be able to pull off the most top 5 shows in the year because they come out with good stuff and shameful stuff. So I know you're shaking your head because you don't really love the streaming service, but they pulled it off. They won the year, baby.
We would be doing people a disservice if we encourage them to subscribe to Netflix over other streaming services. That would be a public disservice. And one of the things that I love about the Wally Report is the public service that we offer. The best advice that we can give remains the same from the first episode, which is that HBO is the number one, or Max is the number one streaming service that you should subscribe to. And thankfully that's now bundled with Hulu and Disney Plus. So you get all of it. So just do that. If you're looking for one, that's the one. There's I will accept no other argument.
I know, but we did just count they got the most top 5 shows on the Wally Report list throughout the year, so
doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. Matter. I like it. All right.
I think you could also make an argument.
I'm a man of principle, Ari.
I think you could
that's
also
clean. That's clean. Yeah, go ahead.
You could have a streaming service for the year, but then when you look at Max's HBO's catalog, what's available to you, I think HBO Max probably has the upper hand.
Oh, of course. But at least I'm just doing the fans the service of knowing throughout the year who had the most top shows. And even on the watch, I know I keep bringing it back to them, they were also shocked by Netflix doing this well on their countdown. They were like, oh shit, how many Netflix shows do we have here? Okay. So top 10 of the year. We're going to rapid fire these babies. Okay. But before we get into that, just a couple honorable mentions. Presumed Innocent, which we loved in the beginning, and then it fell off on Apple TV Plus. Jinx season 2. It was really just because I love season 1. Season 2 was never the same. But we are going to be doing a special Jinx true crime episode coming in about a week. So get ready for that. Sunny on Apple TV Plus. I did like that with Rashida Jones, Christopher's girl. But it just wasn't enough to make the top 10. Only Murders season 4. John, we talked about enjoyable. Just couldn't make the cut. The Mr. McMahon doc, loved it, but just not top 10 material. Wise Guy David Chase doc, loved it, but not top 10. Aaron Rodgers doc, we just talked about, a great time. Now, I just want to call out a couple things because people might say, other critical people might say, where the fuck is Ripley? Where is Shogun? And where is Industry? Okay? These are not on my list. Ripley, I tried again. I listened to the critics. It's just very dry. I don't know if you guys have watched it yet. It's a remake of The Talented Mr. Ripley. It's shot in black and white. It's definitely well done. It's well acted. But it just didn't grip me. I might go back. Sorry, fans. Shogun, I know it wins all these awards. Everybody's popping off at the Emmys about Shogun. I tried it again yesterday. It's decent, but maybe I'll go back. It just wasn't top 10 material. And I know Industry was supposedly amazing this season. People are going to yell at me. Stafford is going to be one of my new co-hosts on the True Crime series. She's going to shame me for not having Industry on the list, but I can't get through season 1. It's made for Gen Z Barneys. I feel like I'm watching Euphoria over here. I don't care about 20-year-olds boning anymore. It's like, come on, man. Like, they keep saying it's the new Succession, but I'm like, okay, I don't have seasons to get there. So anyway, I'll keep it on the list. So there's my honorable mentions. All right, here we go.
Can I say something quickly? I'm sorry. I've wanted to say this for a while, but now it's really important. So Ripley, a remake of The Talented Mr. Ripley. We've got a remake of American Psycho coming. Why are we remaking all of these great movies and why? The Talented Mr. Ripley doesn't need to be revisited. Right? It's perfect. Yeah. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jude Law, Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow. You're not going to do better than that. And I just don't understand why it merits additional attention. Just leave it and do something else. Now, there's an exception to this, and this is going to, I think, really hit home for you, Ari, for a couple of reasons, personally, but also sort of contextually right now. There is a revival on Broadway this year, coming up in the spring of 2025, of the film Good Night and Good Luck.
Oh, yes, I heard about
starring
this,
George Clooney. Now, contextually, you have the poster behind you, and then personally, you actually worked on that film. It was one of your sort of early entrees into the industry. What I can accept about that, first of all, it's a stage adaptation of a film, so it's a little bit different. Second of all, it stars George Clooney. Okay, so George Clooney, is producing and starring in it and is sort of reimagining his own work. And I think that's pretty interesting. That's sort of like an interesting thing that's happening. But why remake The Talented Mr. Ripley? Why remake American Psycho? Even the Dexter, sort of the thought of the Dexter, just leave it alone. Let it be.
I feel like the people producing and creating a lot of these shows they don't want to write anymore, and they're running out of ideas, and they're just, we can just remake these things with the original writing and then make a bunch of, I don't know. I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, it's like, where's all because I feel like every show you watch is based on a book now, or based on this, is like, where's just the natural, writing? But maybe it was the writer's strike. Maybe we're like, okay, crap, let's do some remakes. I don't know. But yeah, good point.
On that point too, I'm nervous about the Harry Potter series remake, or not a remake, but the new Harry Potter. Again, along the same lines.
Staying positive.
Does Harry Potter, which has become now for a lot of people, it's like a holiday classic. You watch the movies every year around the holidays. It feels very Halloween, Christmas to me. It's like those movies are something special to people, and it's like, do we have to really? Do we need to do this? And again, time will tell, but I agree with you, Christopher.
Yeah, John, I'm partially with you, but I think we have to fucking do it, baby, because I need more Potter. And we're never going to have the story as good. So, but yeah, maybe as long as they don't ruin it. But it could like make it better, because they're going to be like probably seasons per book now. Remember how we talked about, and they could get into stories that were never told. Yeah. So I'm worried about the casting, but let's see. Okay. All right. So let's do it. Top 10 shows of the year. We've come to the apex of society. Okay. Number 10. And we mentioned this earlier, and I almost wasn't going to do this because I was going to put the fucking Aaron Rodgers doc because I really enjoyed it. But then I watched a little bit of the Curb season last night, and I had to put Larry on here, baby. At the number 10 spot, it's Curb Your Enthusiasm, final season, season 12, HBO Max, 94% on the critic, the tomato meter, a dismal 68 on the audience score, the popcorn meter, and I sided with them. I gave it a 69. It's not great, but I was watching this episode last night with him and Vince Vaughn, and they were screwing each other. I'm like, you know what? I still fucking like this, so screw it. I'm giving Larry his flowers. This is the best comedy ever. I mean, at least up to the first 5 or 6 seasons. I'm a season 1 through 6 purist. After that, it's not as good. But because of the sheer body of work, you've got to probably put it up as the best comedy ever, except maybe the Ali G show on HBO, which Christopher likes to call out. But listen, it's a good time. It's not where it used to be. I actually went back and rewatched some Curb this year. And God, it's like amazing, the old season, but it's still a good time. Are you guys Curb Barneys? Do you like that I put this on here? John, you are, right?
Oh, I mean, listen, this was on my list too, and I think you're right. To me, it's not this final season was not as iconic as previous seasons, but you got to give Larry his flowers. Rest in peace, Richard Lewis. I thought the way they ended it was, I thought Larry,
and I didn't get to that yet. Shamefully, I didn't get to the ending yet. Shamefully,
you haven't got to the end.
No, because I was too pissed. I boycotted, and I was like, I'm at like episode 7.
All right, I'm not going to give you spoilers, but let me just say this: are you familiar with the original Seinfeld ending?
They're like they go to the jail or something.
Yeah,
they try to go somewhere, and then they end up in a jail.
Much maligned. A lot of people had a problem with the way Seinfeld ended. And I'll give you this. In the final episode, there's an interaction between Larry and some strangers. I believe it's in a hotel lobby. And Larry makes the comment, "I've never learned a lesson in my life." And and there are some twists and turns, so it's not exactly the same, but he proceeds to give the biggest fuck you to everyone who didn't like the original Seinfeld ending. And I'm going to leave it at that. You have to watch. I mean,
okay. All right, I'll finish it. I'll finish it.
For me, like ending the season that way was like, okay, Larry's going out the way Larry David, the only way Larry David could go out, which is big middle fingers to everybody. And it's amazing. So yes. That would be on my list for sure for this year.
All right, so I'm going to go straight into number 9. You're both, and Christopher's not going to like this again because I've been giving Cobra Kai too much love this year. Cobra Kai season 6 on Netflix, 85. We already did the scores earlier. We don't need to revisit, but 85 on the tomato meter, 80 on the audience. I gave it a 74. So it's under classified hot, but it still was enough to make the top 10. We've already addressed this so many times. I don't need to give the summary. I know you guys are, maybe not displeased. John, you still haven't started Kai, which is shame. I think you will like Kai.
I have started it since the last episode. I'm a season and a half in. And I got to say, halfway through season 2, I don't know if I can keep going. It's okay. The cringe is so. Season 1, I get it. I get the nostalgia. It's cheesy. I mean, All Valley Karate Tournament is not cool by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's so just, bro.
When you were a kid, it was cool. Season 2 is I'm halfway through, and it's getting to the point where it's like, I don't know if I can go on with this. And listen,
all right.
Mad respect, love the Karate Kid movies when I was a child. I don't think I can make it 6 seasons of this.
So we're looking at a big DNF. Season 2 of Kai.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is where, just really quickly, so I'm not the one yapping the entire episode. I put a little break here to give, and we don't, just a quick, Christopher, I know you came with a couple shows. As I'm doing my master list, because I'm now at number 9, do you want to quickly tell the audience your number 3 show or one of the lower? You had a couple that you came with, right?
Oh, I only have one.
Oh, shit.
There's only one. In my mind, there's only one show worth talking about this year.
Okay. Well, I guess you might as well. Do you want to save that for higher up on the list? Or
I'd like to save it for higher up, but just for context, Ari, because as we go through all of the Wally Report scores, and I should know this because I'm the one who's compiling the scores into the social media assets, and I now have a library. But just so to refresh my memory and the memories of our listeners. What has been the highest ranking Wally Report show to date?
Of 2024?
Just in general, because
I can't remember the 2023.
What's the percentage? What percentage has it gone up to?
I think we gave the Bear last year. I think in the Bear, we gave the Bear 80 something last year, but I don't have those figures in front of me. Yeah.
So we've broken 80%.
Yes, but only for the Bear season 2, I believe. And at one point the Penguin was there Penguin was in the 80s. I think the Lacey Peterson debacle, which you were devastated. I gave Lacey Peterson an 80, but then later in the show with John said it was only a 77.
He redacted.
But that's because I finished the final episode and I had to lower it. Which you're not going to be happy about that. But yeah. So mostly
that's useful context. Okay.
Yes.
Why don't you keep going, and when we get down to number 3, then you guys
start popping off, because John, you have a couple too. So maybe we'll get closer since you guys only have a top 3. We'll get let me get through. Okay, number 8. This is interesting. because I started scouring the year, I needed to make sure, was there anything I missed from all my top 5 lists? And after I listened to I know I keep bringing up the boys at the watch, I listened to their list. I'm like, oh shit, did I miss some stuff? So actually, something that had never come up on our countdowns before that I just watched over this past week, I didn't love it. I mean, it wasn't the best ever, but it was a new thing that's now going to be in our top 10. Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Prime Video. Oh, you're going to already cringe on this, Christopher, because it's another remake of the movie with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, now starring Donald Glover and Maya Eskren. I hope I'm saying that right. 91% on the tomato meter. It was up for a bunch of Emmys. But funny thing is, audience only gave it a 67. I'm giving it a 74. Just one little notch under Classified Hot, but it was definitely a fun run. It's basically another sort of spy thriller. They're married. They're both sort of in a semi-CIA type role. They go on a lot of missions. I think it's shot really well. The acting is pretty great. It's basically a marriage story, but sort of set in this world. And there's really long, drawn out, almost play-like performances in these crazy scenes in between fucking shooting people. And it's definitely, I think, better than the original action movie, but there's still issues with it. So I'm not going to give it in the 80s. It's not a number 1 show. It ends very interestingly. There is going to be a season 2, but they both were nominated for Emmys for their roles. I don't know if I agree with that, but it was definitely a fun ride. I like any of these, hitman fucking CIA things, which I know is not a big time Christopher thing. But the interesting thing is now Prime, and I'm going to have to redo our count, has now just been added to something there. Okay. Let's keep rolling. Number 7, The Bear Season 3. FX on Hulu. Okay, 89% of the tomato meter. A dismal 51 on the audience score. Man, the audience just really did not like this season. They were just pissed. I gave it still a 76. Still classified hot. It's not 80s Bear like we had the season before. Okay, but it's still okay. The first couple episodes I thought were fantastic. The first one was just amazing piece of it felt like you were watching this gorgeous film. It was like a full episode montage. I really liked it. Then a lot of middle chunks of the season were a bit underwhelming, but it ends really well. I thought the final couple episodes were great. It's setting us up. We still love Jeremy Allen White. Of course, Christopher's boy, Eben Moss-Backrack with the nice, with the perfect Chicago accent. Perfect. I still thought the cinematography, I thought they tried to be too silly with the cousins this year, and just some of it was kind of like, what the fuck are we watching? A whole episode of the sister giving birth. I'm like, guys, come on. Fucking get back to the damn heart of the show here. But I think it was also episode 2 ends with some of the best episodes ever in television history. How the fuck do you follow up with that? And such high expectations for the guys at the Bear. But let's see. John, did you catch up, by the way? Did you catch up on the Bear?
I'm all the way caught up. Yeah, we discussed it, I believe, for a little bit.
But you didn't. But did you? I don't think when we talked, you had finished all of season 3 yet, right? Or did you?
I can't remember, but I have finished season 3.
Do you agree with me? Are you in agreement here?
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't have the same impact to me as the first 2 seasons did.
Yeah,
I agree. The episode where she's just giving birth the whole time is like, guys, come on.
Yeah, it's excruciating. Like, maybe do that for 5 minutes and fucking move along here. Like, it's just Jesus Christ.
There's not enough. I don't know. I shouldn't comment. I feel like for me, I didn't care about that character enough for that to be an entire episode of her. I don't know, talking to her mom.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
they went with different characters. They really took a lot of liberties. Christopher, you're shamefully going to admit that you still have not finished season 1 publicly here on the report. Is that correct?
That's correct, but you'll find out why. I mean, I've put everything on hold for one particular show. I will watch it. I love The Bear. I think it's great. I'll catch up. I'll watch up to season 3. I'm glad season 4 is coming out in a timely manner. I think Apple TV could take some lessons
notes from them. Yeah, they at least every year they're on it, baby.
Yeah,
they don't mess around,
and you have to give them credit for it. but I've really put everything in my life on hold for one special show, which we'll talk about in just a bit.
Okay, yes, we're getting there. Okay, number 6, The Penguin on Max. We did talk about this. This was going to be my number 1 show of the year. It's 95% of the tomato meter, 92 on the popcorn meter. These are like Breaking Bad scores. I'm giving it a 74. It's below Classified Hot. It had been in the 80s, but remember, and I was with John on the last episode, they fucked me with the writing. I can't, and I can't have it. You can't screw the audience. You can't screw us over and then expect me to still give you these amazing high scores. It's not like I need a Hollywood ending, but don't fuck me in the ways that you screwed me. And I'm not going to bring it up because there's spoilers here, but it's just it's just like, come on, guys. Like, what the fuck are you making? Why do we even watch this? Colin Farrell, Kristen Milioti, Emmys. He for sure has to win. Amazingly well shot, produced, directed, everything gorgeously done, but you can't fuck with me the writing and get away with it on the report. John, did you get deeper into The Penguin?
I finished it. I wasn't going to get shamed for a second episode in a row about The Penguin.
Okay.
So I made it a point after the boys went to bed to watch between the last podcast episode and this one. I finished it. I know what you're talking about. With the
Are
the
you
final
as pissed as
episodes
me, or
into
am I
his
taking
past.
it too
Yeah,
far?
dude? No, it's not good. Like what? I don't want to say anything because there would be spoilers. But I agree with you. That was unnecessary and not believable. And it took me out as like, this is not believable to me. I mean, not that Batman is the most believable like franchise necessarily, but that storyline to me I didn't like it. I agree with I'm on the same page.
Really quickly, and these are not spoilers, the stuff with the mom, enough already. They fucked the show with the mom, gross mom stuff. The stuff with the brothers, I can't abide by. That's just...
No, thank you.
I know you're trying to set him up as evil, but he already is enough of a bad guy. You don't need to do that. And
there wasn't he didn't have... there wasn't animosity between the brothers to set up what happened.
Yeah,
you know
it didn't make sense. It felt like exactly.
Out of left field. I was like, what the...
If they were horrible brothers and beating him up
abusing him or whatever, but no,
picking on his fucking foot, something. So I don't like that. And then the ending, I'm not even going to whisper a word, but the whole thing with my boy Vic, I'm not going to fucking allow it. Screw and listen, I want the writers to come on the show, so I don't want to fully denounce them, but it's like, fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
You would have been my number 1 show, baby, and you screwed me. Okay, number 5, Christopher's not going to like this. American Murder, Lacey Peterson on Netflix, baby. 100% on the tomato meter. So the critics are backing me. 79 on the popcorn and a 77 on the Wally Report. Classified hot, baby. It's not an 80 anymore. I retracted the 80. But here's the thing. Besides the Robert Durst story, this is one of the most intriguing, horrifying true crime stories in our country's history. So yeah, maybe I tabloided this one, Chrissy boy. I got a little too crazy with my true crimes. I get it. But it's like, it's just the tale is so riveting. And maybe I'm more just stuck in because the story is so riveting. And Scott drives me nuts. It's a 3-part series on Netflix. And listen, it's also probably because of, again, the arena. Not every other show is great right now. So if I'm having a really good time with something, even if it's a little bit of like true crime tabloid story, it's still worth it. You're pissed about this, Christopher? You don't like this being this high ranked?
I mean,
you don't have a comment here?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say. I do want to know, do you think we're going to get another OJ doc or miniseries in 2025 or 2026 following his death?
Oh,
2024.
I mean, I hope so, but I mean, the ESPN doc is pure gold. It's one of my favorite docs of all time. If you guys haven't seen that, it's a 4-part doc. But yeah, maybe there should be a new one now that comes and then tells the whole story even into the later ages. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if something does happen. I would probably be actually bummed out that someone will probably come up with something quick on A&E and then make it not even good. It'll be like 45 minutes. And I'll be, fuck, this should be a 6-part series, you pricks. That's right. Probably what's going to happen first. Like a sleazy one comes out and then maybe a better one on HBO in a couple years or something. But I'm with you. I hope so. Okay, let's keep moving on because we got to get to your guys. I want to hear some input from you guys. Actually, should we stop here because I'm at my top 4 shows? John, you want to You want to go on one of yours? So you brought a couple, and Christopher, you just have one. But I'm still shocked though, Christopher, because I figured that you would have had. What was the other show that you were banding about? Not just I don't want to reveal what I know you're going to talk about, but there was the other.
The Gilded Age.
Yeah, I guess Gilded Age, but I was thinking about some
Emily
other
in Paris.
Yes,
all
yeah,
of
exactly.
these are
What
DNFs.
about the Paris?
They're all DNF.
Yeah, but
DNF.
you could still. Okay, all right, okay. You need to finish
because I've had to stop. I've suspended all sewed blasting for one show.
Okay, all right. So let's John, give us. You brought a couple, right?
All right, so I'll keep this brief because we've already talked about the Penguin. We've already talked about Curb. So those were two of my list. I wanted to throw a comedy on here because this is not making your list, but Tires, which is a kind of a limited series on Netflix. Shane Gillis having a hell of a year. I'm a huge Shane Gillis fan, huge fan, Stavros Halkias. There is season 2 coming next year. I've heard that Thomas Hayden Church is going to be joining the cast, which is I'm a huge Thomas Hayden Church fan.
He's one of those dudes one of my favorite movies ever. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
He's just, to me, like he can just look deadpan and it's funny to me. He's one of those guys. So I love the series. Again, very short episodes, but easy to clamp.
I saw that on there, but it looked like sleazy or cheesy to me. But you're saying it's a good time.
He's got some other comedian guest stars that pop in. But again, I'm sure you're familiar with Shane Gillis. I mean, he's
starting to blow up now.
Yeah.
Really quickly though,
it's great.
So I want to ask you though. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So you wrote what was your rankings? Curb was 3 or was Penguin 3? And then what was your 3 in order?
No. So I didn't really have a ranking. I just kind of picked my top few shows for the year. And again, I haven't watched a ton of TV this year in terms of new shows. But that one, the Penguin, aside from the last little few episodes that we talked about, like again, he deserves.
It was up there, right?
It was. It's an amazing show. And I thought it was really interesting the way, and obviously the Batman movie, Robert Pattinson is it's similar in that there's less like Batman's not supernatural superhero, but less like it's more gritty. Down
It's a gangster movie.
It's a gangster.
It was a gangster.
Movie,
yeah.
Yep. So I liked that the Penguin kind of continued along that vein. The other show I had on my list was another kind of mini series, Baby Reindeer, which I can't remember if you ever talked about that or not.
I tried it. I liked it. It was just so weird and disturbing.
Dude,
and it pissed me off, and I just fucking stopped. It was a DNF. I got to about episode 4.
That's crazy.
I DNF'd it, baby.
It's on a lot of top lists for the year from a lot of people. I thought it was great. Very unconventional show. It's a semi-autobiographical series by the creator, Richard Gadd, of a woman. Basically, he befriends this woman in a bar who ends up stalking him to insane
She was
degree.
impressive. She was actually impressive. She was a great actress, and I liked him, but they just took it. I don't want to bring stuff up here on the report, but they took it to this disgusting, disturbing. What the fuck is this?
It's very disturbing, but it was to me it was gripping.
It's
and
still
that was
on my
also,
list to finish, but right now it's a DNF.
Yeah, I thought it was a great series, and again, very unconventional, low budget. But sometimes those are the best series. When they're not trying.
And they
to
did. I think they pulled off some
money.
Emmys too.
Yeah. So that was the other show on my list. So that's really all I had in terms of my top shows for the year.
All right, Christopher, I'm going to do my number 4, and then maybe I'll let you blast, and then I'll finish with my top 3. Right, number 4 show of the year, Senna on Netflix. We talked about it last month, John. The tomatoes do not agree with me. 36%. That's the lowest tomato score that I've ever then tried to counter and put it on my list in history. But 88 on the popcorn meter. So the audience agrees with me. I'm giving it a 78. It's all about Ayrton Senna, the famous F1 driver. It's someone actually acting and playing. They did a doc years ago. This is actually someone acting and playing him in a series, right, about his life. Now, listen, it's not a dramatic masterpiece, but it's a great feel-good, elongated sport movie feel, but in 6 episodes, right? And yeah, some of it, I wouldn't say cheesy, but it's like maybe made for kids a little bit. It's, again, a feel-good type of thing. Gabriel Leone and Kaya Scodelario, he plays Senna. The way it's shot is fantastic. You're on the edge of your seat. You're very emotionally invested. I don't want to give it away, but it's a very sort of tragic, devastating ending to his life. And so I would say anybody who likes good, sports content, go for it. All right. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Christopher, before I go to my top 3 and let you shame the audience here live on the report.
Okay. So first, I just very quickly, you mentioned Sideways being one of your favorite movies. I recently rewatched Sideways, and it had always been one of my favorites. I always thought it was sort of, great and funny and all sorts of things. And I rewatched it. And I was reminded it is a beautiful movie. It's beautiful.
It's a masterpiece.
It really is. From start to finish. So I recommend everyone, even if you think you've seen Sideways, give it another look. So I'm glad you brought it up. And yes, Thomas Hayden Church is brilliant. Paul Giamatti.
It's the cleanest. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's fine. So we talked a lot about my proclivity toward shows that are a bit higher brow, The Gilded Age being one of them, which is about New York City in the later 19th century, starting in the 1870s, 1880s. The show that has occupied, first of all, that I've been anticipating for more than a year. And that has occupied, I think, 2 years, actually, almost exactly 2 years. I've been anticipating this new season, and the show that has occupied sort of all of my anticipatory energy, aside from Severance, and then all of my viewing time, at least starting in November when the first couple episodes became available on Max, is a show called The Sex Lives of College Girls. Now, where's the literary tie-in? You're probably wondering. Well, and by the way, I acknowledge that the name of the show,
Total
The
shame.
Sex Lives of College Girls, is the worst name ever. And it's not creative. It's misleading potentially. I think that it's just not. It doesn't do the show justice in any way, and it's just bad name. And it's a mouthful too. But in any case, season 1 of The Sex Lives of College Girls was shot at my alma mater, Vassar College. And so when I saw I got something on Instagram, a little preview, and I was like, wait, what is this? And so then I started like sharing it, blasting around this preview to some of my old Vassar shames. And and then I watched season 1, and it just sort of brought me back. And so for the setting alone, for the campus alone, I mean, I give season 1 of the second. And I also want to say, we talked about this before we started recording, but I maintain this. Ari, you have a system. So I would say that in general, Tomatoes is very lenient and sort of very allowing, and it's easy to score up into the 90s on Tomatoes. I would also say that your system is it's less permissive than Tomatoes, but it's not the most rigorous. I have a rigorous rating system. Okay. I mean, my rating system is brutal. All right. So I would say season 1 of The Sex Lives of College Girls comes in 96%.
Whoa.
Okay. Now season 2. So season 2, they have it. They moved the filming location from Vassar College to University of Washington in Seattle, and not to be confused with Washington University, which is in St. Louis. University of Washington in Seattle. So they have B-roll of Vassar College, these drone shots, these flyovers, and then they have on the ground footage at University of Washington. There's enough crossover in terms of the collegiate Gothic style architecture that one could accept that maybe they're the same campus if you're not familiar with either campus. And then the third season, which just came out. Oh, so second season, writing goes downhill a little bit. I think there were some budget cuts. They moved to a cheaper sound stage for the dorm room. 94%. Okay. Season 3 just
These
came
are
out.
Breaking Bad level scores, by the way, but continue. This is like Sopranos Breaking Bad, but continue.
They're now shooting at a school in Southern California. I forget which one. So now they've got B-roll from Vassar College. They've got B-roll from University of Washington. And then they've got on-the-ground footage at this school in Southern California. And it really, we're starting to get a campus that is too architecturally diverse, and the landscape architecture doesn't match. The species of trees don't really match. A Vassar College the starting point is an arboretum, and it has more than 200 species of trees, which I think Ari, you and I have talked a lot about before, because I know you're a big arboretum guy. And aren't you you're a member of the Arbor Day Foundation, a founding member of the Arbor Day Foundation? I remember you trying to get people when we worked together at Bang & Olufsen. You were trying to get people to subscribe to the Arbor Day Foundation because they got 10 free trees in the mail.
I do like trees. I miss them being in SoCal, but I'm not an Arbor Barney.
Okay, you're not. I must have been mistaking you for someone else. I thought you were, for some reason, I thought you were a big time Arbor Bartholomew. In any case, so Vassar's, it's 200 species of trees. So there's a lot of trees, could fit in a lot of, but once you start to get to Southern California, you're seeing different species of trees. And so it's really for the arbor purist, for the architectural purist, it just doesn't work. And so I'm as a result of that alone, season 3 has gone down to 92%. Still classified hot. All right.
Okay.
Big time classified hot. The other reason it's gone downhill is Renee Rapp, who's well known for Mean Girls, has left the show after the first couple of episodes in season 3. Now, I'm only 6 episodes in, because I think that they've only released 6. They may have released another. And I watched all of it. My wife and I were on vacation last week. We got 3 days to ourselves. We watched all of season 3. First 6 episodes. Then we went back and replowed 1, which was the 4th time I've plowed season 1. And then we replowed 2, which is the 3rd time I've plowed season 2.
This is not just.
This is Emily in Paris level plowing for you.
This is, absolutely. But I stopped. Emily in Paris was DNF, okay? Because I couldn't watch Emily in Paris and not think about the sex lives of college girls. All I was doing when I was watching Emily in Paris, I was so distracted. I was like, I wish this were sex lives of college girls.
So those are the 2 benchmarks competing for your.
So I do like this though, not to cut you off, Christopher, but I like this for the other type of audience that we have on the Wally Report that maybe doesn't want my, critically acclaimed stuff, but they need some more romance, lower level sleaze. This is great for them. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Well, I would, to just sort of. I don't want to dig too deep into a semantic debate or a syntactic debate with you, Ari. But
yes.
What you're referring to other shows as critically acclaimed, suggesting that somehow the Sex Lives of College Girls is not critically acclaimed. I am a critic, and I am acclaiming it right now.
Yep. That's true.
So
and
this show is now critically acclaimed.
What does Tomatoes give it?
I don't have any idea.
Well, we could look it up on the spot.
I can
That's fine.
Can look it up. All right. So,
but we got to get to my top 3 here. Were you done?
Yeah, no, but I wanted to. So I wanted to say, in all seriousness, yes, I do watch that show because of the connection to my alma mater, and I recommend it for anyone who's looking for some sort of mindless entertainment in very quick episodes. Where the stakes couldn't be lower, and the consequence. But the other thing, Ari, though, I will say is it actually fits in perfectly to the Wally Report rubric going forward for 2025, because you have one of the characters is a soccer player. There's your sports, and then another character cheats on a test. There's your true crime. I mean, it's got everything.
That's pretty
right?
clean.
It fits.
All right.
It fits in perfectly.
Yes.
The real reason that I have been so negligent in watching so many shows this year is because I have watched the Pixar movie Cars,
Mm.
and now Cars 2 and Cars 3 probably 40 times
Yes,
in the
me
last
too.
3
Me
months.
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
all I do is watch Cars every day, and which is, I'm fine with that. I think Cars is a really clean movie, and I would recommend it for adults. Cars 1 is, it's like a great sort of very straightforward film. Have you seen Cars 2, Ari?
Yeah, I've seen them all
Yeah,
many
okay, all right.
times.
So
Same
Cars
thing.
2, you got
Jack
Finn
is.
McMissile. It's like a Bond
Yeah.
film with the Cars characters. And then
Yes.
Cars 3 is my favorite because it sort of
Really?
combines because it combines the feeling of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Sort of all rolls it into one film.
Mm.
And it's a triumphant finish. And so that's really what has been occupying the majority of my time. And I think we need to do a special Wally Report episode about children's movies. We're all fathers. And I think it would be interesting to sort of compare notes. Ari, you and I, have our offspring are
Similar
the same age
yeah.
within 6 months of one another, and so you and I could maybe put together a recommended watch list for John.
Yeah, that's clean. That's clean.
Who's about 2.5 years behind us.
It's lower on the priority list, but we could throw it on. All right. Let's get.
Okay.
Let's.
So just if you're listening now, plan on that show February. That's happening February. Buckle up.
Let's get to the final three. Clean. I love your guys' interjections, though, so it wasn't just me flapping on my countdown like how it normally is. Okay, the final top 3 shows of the year. We're going to go back to a sports shame. The Comeback 2024 Boston Red Sox story on Netflix. Weirdly enough, there still is no tomato meter, no popcorn meter. I don't know why the critics are slacking on this. I'm giving a whopping 78. Classified hot. It is the greatest, and I'm not a Red Sox guy. I'm not a Yankees guy. You know I'm a Metropolitans guy, okay? But this is maybe one of the craziest sports stories in the history of sport. So for me, because I'm such a sport nut, and it just the first 15 minutes, you're like, oh, do I like this? And then it just gets one of my all-time favorite sport docs now. 3-part series. It goes all into sort of the history of the Yankees and Red Sox rivalry and dynamic, which is always known as one of the biggest rivalries in baseball, and how the Yankees were always winning, the Red Sox were always losing, right? And then it goes into some key years in 2003 where the Red Sox finally had them beaten. It was over. And again, I don't want to give things away, but disaster strikes. It's one of the craziest things to ever happen. And then the following year, in 2004, an even crazier thing occurs. The first time in baseball history. I'm not even going to say it right now live because I want people to watch this and be surprised, but it's very well done. And just as a sports fan, it's just a remarkable story, and it's very well told. Big Papi, Kevin Millar, Theo Epstein, who's the GM of the Red Sox at the time, very intelligent, smart guy. All great interviews, personalities. I got to, so let's just move on. But I want to say that it's a great time if people haven't watched it. Kiri, if you haven't watched this yet, my brother, shame, get on this, bro, because I brought this up like 3 months ago and I still haven't got a text about it. Okay, number 2 show of the year. The interesting thing is the number 2 and number 1 shows we just talked about in our December countdown, which is very weird that we waited all the way to the end of the year to have my 2 top shows. Weird how December pulled it off. And again, I'm going to bring it up and shame the Penguin live. You should have been there, bro, but you screwed us. Okay. Number 2 show of the year, The Day of the Jackal. We just talked about it. Peacock stepping up and getting the number 2 show of the year. I don't need to go back over the whole thing because we just summarized it. But again, it's Eddie Redmayne from Fantastic Beasts. He plays the hitman that Christopher will not see. But I'm saying, John, you got to get this on. It's amazing. My brother just went through it. He's losing his mind. He was saying top 5 to 7 show of all time. I don't agree. I mean, there's some writing is off. There's some storylines, some characters there. And it's not perfect. It's not a Breaking Bad. But for the arena that we're in right now, it's a great time. You're on the edge of your seat. you're of course rooting for him, even though he's doing horrible things and murdering people, but you're on the side of the hitman. The cops are nipping at his heels at every turn, and the fucking last episode is phenomenal. So if people have not, and I want to give a call to Dara from work. I promised I'd give her a call by name. She was the one who turned me on to this and got me into this. So if you're listening, great work on the recommendation. You made my number 2 yearly show. It's unbelievable. Okay. Number 1 show of the year. And I was really back and forth between this and The Day of the Jackal. And maybe this is a bit of a recency bias. You know, when you watch stuff recently, you might think it's better than what the stuff that you watched in fucking March. But I'm giving Black Doves the number 1 show of the year on Netflix. 94% on the tomato, so they're backing me. But the audience only gave it a 62, which I'm surprised. A 79. So here's the interesting thing, going back to your question, Christopher. No shows besides my Lacey Peterson blip that I took back ever made an 80 percentile, except, okay, not the Penguin partially through was in the 80s, but then at the end it dipped down. So no shows at the end of 2024 made it to an 80 percentile, which shows that also just displays we're not in the highest, level of shows right now, right? So hopefully 2025 is better. Again, Keira Knightley, Ben Winshaw stealing the show. Their partnership is amazing. It is a gripping, compelling, intriguing, exciting, action-packed spy thriller. I recommend everybody. The Watch was also on their top 10. They didn't give it as the number 1 show. I know I keep alluding to the guys at The Watch, but I aspire to be as clean and hopefully want to be on one of their show at one point. So there it is, boys. You have it. You heard it live from the Wally Report. Black Doves winning, Netflix winning. And so really quickly before we do Christopher's outro, is the only update that we now have to give is because Mr. and Mrs. Smith came on this, I have to put them on the all-time list for count. So Prime Video goes to 3, surpassing Hulu. So Netflix, number 1, at 9, HBO Max 7, Apple TV Plus 5, Prime Video 3, Hulu 2, Disney Plus 2, Showtime 1, Peacock 1. Everybody got on the list, and we'll see. Who knows if this is going to be a different year next year. It's very interesting. So, Christopher, before you do your outro and we jam to the music one last time, just let's thank everybody again for the success of the report. I appreciate you guys being fans, helping out. Christopher popping off with that logo and giving me the hot assets. John being one of our original fans. Also, a call out to your wife, Laura, who actually was one of the first ones to listen to the show, and she gave me positive feedback right away. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, Laura thinks this is clean, and then it got me to that next hump of, hey, let's continue this, baby, because we all know that now the Wally Report is the hottest podcast in the world. So with that, any last comments from you two before we do the outro?
2025 will go down as the year of the report.
Yes.
TWR, baby, let's go.
TWR. Remember what I said about we're going to be having shrimp cocktail on our yachts and sipping daiquiris, baby. Okay. And maybe even getting shoe shines. Anyway. All right. So Christopher, the famous outro.
Thank you for listening to the Wally Report, the world's hottest podcast. Please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're blasting hard on the talk. And we're heavy on the gram at The Wally Report. That's at The Wally Report. We've actually been posting amazing video clips from our episodes on our social channels and important new show launch information. So please don't miss out. As I've said a million times before, we're doing a tremendous public service and we need your help. So share, blast, and comment both on Spotify and on Instagram. We love hearing from you. We love talking to you. So let's keep the dialogue going in 2025 as we look forward to many, many more exciting episodes of the Wally Report.